Hey, this is Coach T. I'm back with another Saturday morning, early Saturday morning C Sharp devlog where I'm logging 1 year of study, and we're in week 21, which is my orientation week because this whole week I've been studying how to take input from the user and then apply it to doing different things in Unity, whether it's mouse clicks or uh, gamepad or keyboard and mouse. I even looked a little bit at touchscreen stuff, just trying to figure out how to make user input do things in the script and not just move an object around. I've really been looking at how do I use user input to call scripts from other objects or to adjust the state of the program that's running. And I actually started to think I might be able to use Unity in a kind of roundabout way to build one of the projects that I wanted to have as a coach in my real job, which is a little bit strange. But I was like, wait a second, this menu system that I built for a totally different project, that could be used to make a timer for one of the applications that I want to have for my teachers, which could then maybe be exported to an Android app and sideloaded onto my phone so I have it. So that's something I'm going to look at over the next couple weeks is can I use Unity to build a rudimentary app? It's not the same as building it with ASP or Maui or whatever, but it does get me a little bit closer to that actual professional goal of using C Sharp and my skill set to build tools to empower me in my job. So, anyway, with Thanksgiving and travel and family time, I had, in theory, more time than I typically would have, but less time realistically because of travel and all that. So, what I did this week is I really broke down my objective for building what is going to become, I think, a twin stick shooter. I was back and forth between kind of like an FPS walking thing or a twin stick game, and I ultimately like first person games a lot, but I feel like a twin stick game is probably a little bit more in my skill set right now. Especially because anything that I build, I'd have to do all the art, all the modeling, everything else in. And in a first person game, that does require higher fidelity because you can get up closer to things, the camera's closer. And I just don't think that that's the right use of my time as I'm learning. I might go back and build, like, I don't know, boomer shooters are a lot of fun and you don't have to take them too seriously. But for now, we're looking at a twin stick shooter. So what I did is I outlined all the objectives that I want to have maybe in 6 months to a year baked into a prototype that I can shop around a little bit and see if my friends want to help out with art or with writing or whatever, the skill sets that they have. And then I broke that down into two more big developmental steps that have the known quantities right now. Obviously, that list will be incomplete, but that has phase A, B, with C being the eventual prototype that's built on the bones of A and B. A is very simple, and I'm actually almost there using a little bit of the Unity docs, using a little bit of my Unity in Action book, using a little bit of the Udemy course, and then just my own C Sharp knowledge and the ability to read the APIs and connect things the way I want them. So that's Project A, which I'm calling Project Albany. In Project Albany, I need to have a twin stick character movement. I need to have enemies that look at you to deal damage, like with a laser beam, and enemies that pursue you, and then deal damage if they touch your collider. I need to have the ability to transition between keyboard and mouse and gamepad, and then rudimentary menu system that starts with a play, and then you can choose one of a couple levels that are basically color themed for all intents and purposes right now. A win state and a death state, and pause menu, and there were a couple other things. Oh, drop pod deployment. I like the idea of being able to choose where you're deploying in your twin stick shooter, so we're using drop pods because it fits thematically with the Feet First into Hell game that I contribute to. And the camera needs to be smooth. I don't want the camera to be, locked. I want it to be kind of slowly interpolating after it. And the only thing I haven't done yet is the pause system, and I've got some work to do on colliders. The colliders aren't working the way that I thought they would. So I've got a twin stick movement going that switches between gamepad and keyboard and mouse. It's broken into two projects because some of it I coded upstairs with the girls, and some of it I worked on down here. So I worked out my own WASD and mouse input system on the bigger project. But yesterday, with the time that I had, I worked through a specific tutorial by Dave Poss, I think his name was, and he worked all the way through the input system in order to create a twin stick shooter. So let me see, I'll adjust this aspect ratio a little bit. Yeah, that's good. All right. And then right now I can only use keyboard and mouse because my USB-C that goes to my gamepad is plugged into the microphone. But I'm going to play it real quick. Unity. I can't even click over to show you the settings. So basically it uses a bool to check if the current input system is coming from the gamepad or if... it really is having a hard time. There we go. Or if it's coming from keyboard and mouse. So you can see he's spinning to follow the mouse. And that's using a technique I don't totally understand. It's different than what my Unity course, Udemy course uses, where it's creating a plane at the point where the mouse is hitting, and then it's turning to look at it. And I understand the look at, that's fine. But I don't totally understand the utility of the plane. In the Udemy course, it's moving the transition point of an aim object sphere that's very small, and it's that sphere's transform is moved instantaneously to the point of the mouse using a raycast. So you can actually see the ball moving around on the screen. But you can see he can strafe. It's hard to tell if he's moving, I guess. But let me see. I'm using Cinemachine to track with the camera, so you'll see it does catch up over time. Let me pause. Then we will add, I don't know, a cube. So you can see, Now, the cube appears to be moving around because I have on my Cinemachine camera. There it is. It's on one of these settings. I messed around with it a whole bunch yesterday. No. Player cam. Body. There it is. There's a significant amount of damping going on right here. So if I turn this down, it's completely locked. If I leave it at 1, I get a little bit of damping, which I don't necessarily like. I can see why the guy wanted me to turn it down. Maybe 0.5. Yeah, that's better. So this is something I'm playing around with, is this twin stick shooter. The other one that I built upstairs, it instances bullets. The bullets detect collisions. They hit. They will eventually kill an object. There's no particle effects or anything like that, but 5 shots will kill one of the enemies. The enemies will turn to look at you if they detect that you're nearby. My system for that, using 2 different overlapping colliders, is not ideal. So I have to learn more about enemy detection. There's probably a better way to do it, but that was just using the tools that I knew how. That was what worked for me. And then also, I'm learning to call scripts. So that this one doesn't do it. I can't demonstrate it here, but the other one does call scripts from within an object. So, you know, if the bullet detects a collision, then it detects the game object of the collision, and then it will call the take damage on that object rather than the bullet doing damage directly. So it just passes in the damage rate. So starting to feel like programming, using text buttons and box colliders to navigate menus. I don't know a lot about the UI system. I'm trying to learn one thing at a time. In this case, it was all input. Learn input. And I'm starting to get familiar with the input system. Definitely wouldn't say that I'm anything more than passingly familiar with it at this point. But the video by, I think, Dave Poss did a good job of explaining the basics. So I've got one control map, movement, and aim. That's all he does right now. He can't shoot. But if I break this down, I've got my left stick, my WASD keys, and I understand what these are doing. So definitely a lot to learn. You know, I don't necessarily know why this is a 2D vector, but I will learn. That's the goal. So this was the orientation week. I'm getting orientated. The character is getting orientated. And one of the things I have to do today is to bake this twin stick control scheme into the other prototype, which I'll be able to show off next week, that has the shooting, has the navigation, has the drop pod deployment. So yeah, I'm having fun. Don't have as much time as I did over the summer, but the idea is to learn, and then I bet over the summer, if I get comfortable with this, that's where we're going to see another big leapfrog in skill. So that's it for week 21, which is the orientation week, and I will be back next Saturday, hopefully with the Project Albany prototype, and then I'll talk about what my next steps are. So yeah, Coach T, we're in C# together. I've got Python and Affinity Publisher videos dropping like 1 or 2 a week right now, because those two programs are overlapping. But if there's if you're interested in learning Blender, I can maybe do some basic coursework on Blender if anybody's interested in that. I made this guy this morning in about 5 minutes. So I don't feel comfortable enough with Affinity Photo, but if anybody's interested in Blender, or I guess I could do rudimentary C# too, and go back and consolidate my own learning that way. So yeah, if you're interested, drop a comment. If you like the transparent video logging on progress on learning complicated things, subscribe to the channel. If not, hopefully you got something out of it, and I hope you have a good weekend.